In the next 2 weeks, this is a little off course. In the next 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today, are we going to have another meeting? Is that what you said? You're going to have another meeting?
No, ma'am. No.
Is this the last meeting we're going to have here?
Well, keep in mind that
I'm going to keep this in mind. But what I'm asking you is,
there's nothing else scheduled.
well, there should be, because you come here with a host of people. And we're asking you questions, and you cannot answer them.
I don't have all the answers.
And so we need a panel of people that can answer every question, because Constellation has millions of dollars and money talks. And they got enough money to put those wells in place and let us go on about our business. So we should have another meeting with a panel of people in place that any question that we ask, they should be able to clarify it and make us understand what's going on. This meeting today really doesn't do any good for us. Because you have been paid. Somebody has been paid to do what they need to do. And so whatever we come up with tonight, it's not going to change anything.
It's a good point. I understand. We'll take it. All right, let me just say that's a good point. I'll take that back to the department. You have Constellations here as well.
Constellation hasn't stood up. He hasn't said nothing.
Well,
Now he needs to talk to us.
okay.
Since he's fought. Right, sir?
My name's Larry McDowell. I'm Director of Communications for Constellation Energy in Baltimore. And I have to start with an apology. I'm not a substance matter expert on this particular side of the communications realm, but I'm hearing a lot from everything that you're saying. Sorry for the volume in the back. I think your observations and criticisms here about our ability to answer your questions are fair, so I apologize. We don't have those people here right now. My understanding, and I think the understanding of the folks in my company, was that this hearing was primarily about the mining permit. It wasn't about the updates to the questions that you're asking. So in that regard, we're not prepared to answer your questions, but I recognize they're fair questions. You deserve an answer. We'll do our best to get you an answer.
The questions are about, you're talking about the subject matter being about mining permit. Someone here knows nothing about that. That's not what happened.
That's what we call it.
And that's the point. But the subject and the reason for the meeting was to talk about the renewal of the mining permit, and there are other issues that you're interested in. I understand that we don't have all of those answers, but the reason for the meeting was for the renewal of the mining permit.
But if the mining goes on, will this crowd of people stop you from doing the mining process? Will this crowd stop you from doing what you need to do? Will it stop you from doing what you need to do?
Well, what we had asked, what we had mentioned at the beginning, earlier at the beginning, is that if you have comments that pertain to the renewal of the mining permit, which all of these issues that we're talking about right now do not. But if you have issues regarding the renewal of the mining of the sand and gravel, that's...
So we can take a petition and say, we are against the mining permit will stop. If everyone in this building signs a petition and says, we are against what you're going to do until this is done, will that make a change?
I don't know that it would, ma'am. Well, you ask a serious question, and I'm trying to give you a truthful answer. For a renewal of a mining permit, there's not an opportunity for public hearing. Whether or not that was occurred would have been back during the original application. And so that, I'm trying to answer you honestly. You have real concerns. We have people that hear your concerns and can try to get you the answers about remediation. But remediation is beyond the scope of what me and my staff are really looking for. Okay? But in the back, yes ma'am.
A quick question. You said earlier that the extra layer of enforcement of the consent decree came through the mining permit, correct?
If we include that condition as a renewal, which is not currently on there.
Okay. And the enforcer for the consent decree currently is MDE, not the state attorney general.
No, it's MDE.
So what I'm hearing here tonight is that it seems like MDE is not doing a great job of enforcing, so adding another layer is not necessarily going to help, right?
I don't think I agree with that. And I don't know that I agree with you saying not doing a great job on enforcing. We're enforcing the conditions of the consent decree. Now, does that solve all of these folks' water problem? It may not, but there were other things that went on, the litigation that went on between the various companies dealt directly with the water supply issue as well. That's not part of the consent decree.
Well, but the off-site monitoring wells that were included in the consent decree that were to be drilled, Mr. Burkhoff pointed out that they had not been done according to the files he's read.
No, he said.
There are no time frame on that in the consent decree.
He said additional wells. There are monitoring wells that are in, and those wells are being monitored. It's whether or not there needs to be more or in a different direction. That's an ongoing evaluation that is constantly ongoing, whether or not there needs to be new wells.
So it's an interpretation issue, is what you're saying, the way we interpret it versus the way you do.
Possibly. Yes, sir, in the back.
As I said before, that there is so much that isn't been done according to the consent decree. You say there isn't, everybody else says there is. Wells should have been drilled, they're not, but you say that's, you're studying that to see whether they need to be drilled. If anybody in this room ignored a court order, like what is being done now, we'd already be in jail. The fact of the matter is, if they want the mining permit renewal, let's finish what was started over 2 years ago and then renew the permit when it's all cleaned up. Why start something new that's going to disturb everything in the ground? Because you've got to dig down and put all the stuff in before you even fix what you've already done.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the answer.
Okay, well, I think we've been on it. I apologize. There's nothing new being proposed. What's being proposed is the renewal of the existing permit. The consent decree is being enforced. There may be new wells that are required. There have been wells that are in, whose monitoring wells are in, and are continuing to be monitored.
Part of the renewal of that permit is if there's, a standard renewal is if there's no major changes to the property, correct?
There's no major changes in the property.
In the use of the property.
No, sir, that's not correct.
Oh, that isn't?
No.
So they can renew the mining permit in the shopping center, which is on the property, would be considered a change?
No, the shopping center that's a post-mining development. That's not part of the mining permit.